Today, we're going to talk about a very important um, thing that leaders often struggle with addressing, which is wellness. And we're going to present wellness to you not from the perspective of, making sure you look as young as I do. Or we're not going to present to you wellness from the perspective of getting you to the gym or losing weight or anything like that. We're going to present to you the case for really prioritizing wellness as a leader and as an executive in your company because it absolutely impacts your brand. We're going to, I've got the handsome, well, healthy gentleman from LEU Health. And we're going to have a great discussion. This is something that they really dig into on a regular basis, and it's something very important for me as the head of Change 3 because our mission is to help our clients grow happily. And the happily part is what we believe really differentiates us and you when you grow happily. It means that you're growing in a healthy, balanced, peaceful manner, and that really streams out to your brand and how you engage with employees and how those employees engage with your clients. So, thank you guys so much for joining. I'm a teensy little bit late because I had an opportunity to test my skills at maintaining wellness this morning with a fire drill just before our session. And so, guys, what do you think? Do I seem peaceful and relaxed?
On the outside, yes, but I'm just curious on the inside how it's going.
That's such a great point. Because, I actually feel really peaceful and relaxed. And I'm excited because this is my last big activity for 2024. There are other things that I need to do, but this is my last big event. And so I'm excited to share it with you guys. So I want to introduce you all in this session today to Will and Patrick Frewa from LEU Health. And I'm going to let these handsome gentlemen tell you guys a little bit about what they do to give you context as we have our conversation together today. So, gentlemen, who's going to start first?
I'm the youngest between my brother and
I
I,
know.
so
That's why I said
I'll
Will
I'll
first.
I'll kick it off, all right? Because otherwise, I'm always coming in second or third after
I
my
like your
previous.
hat jacket combo. That's tight. Your fit is
That
working it, bro. Your
that
fit is
is
doing it.
that's the style, I tell you.
It's looking good.
As
It's
a
looking
friend of
good.
mine told me, California casual.
Oh,
So
I love it. I love it.
Okay, so Nico, thank you so much for that. I love the topic, obviously. I've built a company around it. Um, just a brief intro on my side. So my name is Patrick Frewa. I am the CEO and the co-founder of LU Health. And we started off LU Health 3.5 years ago on the basis that we were looking to create a app-based company that focused on monitoring and tracking people's health and wellness vitals. Forward 3.5 years later, the company has evolved now, and we are a health and wellness based company
Mm.
that uses our app to track and gather data. And from there, so we call that the what, find out what is the issue. We use our communication and our education to inform our users, which are usually corporations, as to why these things are important for their employees. And we give that data to the employees. And the nice thing about us is we believe you created your data, you own your data.
Amen.
So our organizations and our companies don't actually own that data. It's the employee that owns the data. We just report on an aggregated and anonymized basis the information
Hmm.
so that
Hmm.
there's a top-down and a bottom-up approach. And from there, how we find that we're different and how we differentiate ourselves is that we provide the how. So most companies either have the what and the why, and they are happy to stop there, but we also give the how. So there's the resources, the tools, and third-party partnerships and sponsors that we work with so that we can really showcase to people that it's a full journey. And so, yeah, so it's been an interesting three and a half
Thank
years.
you.
May I say, I started off uh, 20 years ago or 25 years ago now
You're
in
only
banking,
21. How, what?
plus tax, plus tax.
It's my
Um,
favorite joke.
yeah, and mine too. Thank you. Um, yeah, I started off as a banker, so
Mhm.
health
Talk
and
about
wellness,
stress.
well-being was not something that was
Low,
in our
low
ecosystem,
priority.
not something that we
Hmm.
spoke about. So it was
Yeah.
a for myself. Will, why don't you
All
go
I
ahead?
right.
love the
So,
Brady Bunch thing we got going.
yeah, I know,
So
right?
fun.
So, my name is Will Frewa. Patrick may be the younger one in the family, but I'd like to think I'm the wiser one of the family. Kind of. I'm the COO of LU Health as well. I'm the principal consultant with Lumo Consulting. Patrick did banking, as you heard him say. I was actually in IBM for 14 years, EMC for a couple of years, and Lumo since 2012. So in between, everything associated with LU, working with Change 3, obviously, and Lumo Health, uh, fair amount of stress and mental and health well-being is kind of a really
Yes.
good thing. So we're happy to chat on this today from our combined point.
Yes. So many
You, you
perspectives.
want to talk
Yes.
about how working with your younger brother has improved your health and well-being, Will?
Yeah. Yes, we'll go with that.
So, I'm so thrilled. So, you guys are great, and I think you guys are such great examples for everyone to learn from. You know, healthy, handsome men, in your journey transforming your career, like Patrick, to start in corporate banking, to start a startup, a disruptive startup in a category that some people would be like, and so the bravery involved, the willingness to try something new. I mean, that's such a great thing for us to talk about with our audience today. And Will, I mean, you've got like 14 jobs, dude. You're an amazing partner for us at Change 3. We work together on a lot of things. And again, I think you are, both of you, that's why I'm so thrilled that you joined me, are just such great examples of what a lot of us are facing, which is, these last few years have been tough for everybody. We all share that universally. We're not alone in seeing these challenges and facing them together, facing them alone, facing them. We've all been able to face the challenges and we've all survived. We're alive. I still have most of my hair, not too much of it is gray. And, if you're
I
in
have
that
most of my
boat and
hats.
you're like, right? If you're in that boat and you're like,
No
oh my gosh,
comment.
right? But you made it, And so for everyone in the room, we've got almost 100 executives that have joined us so far and more coming in. If you've made it this far, you've made it, and that is something to be proud of. Um, there have been so many headwinds these last few years. And I won't even get into it because we all know what happened economically. We know what happened socially. Social norms have changed and they've adjusted. People are dealing with those things. And the thing that I think is most important and really for me, and I know Patrick is going to share some real intel with us, but for me, the benchmark of wellness is gratitude. And it is that really starts with perspective. So to actually be able to look back on your failures, your challenges, your setbacks, your issues, the things that you didn't like, and actually look at them as opportunities and go. I like to say to my leadership coach because I'm really a charity case for this man. He's one of the best leadership coaches in the world, right? And he coaches generals and presidents and stuff like that, and me, so and I think he's like, "Oh, you're so sweet," And so I appreciate that. But one of the things I say to him a lot is I said, I've been making a lot of lemon flavored items this year because I've been given a lot of lemons. And so I think that perspective is really the root of strength. And so if you're in my situation and you have a whole collection of lemon flavored items, lemonade, lemon curd, lemon cookies, whatever, it's fine. I want to say to you, and I hope that you say to yourself, you don't have a bunch of L's. you've actually got a bunch of W's because you made it. And that, if you're the Highlander, right? That's it, right? Last man standing, you made it. So that's the first thing that I'll say to kick us off. Now let's get into a real discussion. So it's not just a feel good fest, which it will be, because that's how I roll, right? This is going to be a feel good fest. But let's go and do some data, because my theme for 25, and I wonder what your guys' themes are. My theme for 25 is data-driven decisions. So let's get a little bit of data to drive our decision. So we had, oh my gosh, we had so many people that were interested in this. And don't look at my profile because it's not cute. But, and so I'm going to pull up some data from you guys. We ask whenever we do, why isn't it working? There we go. Whenever we do an event like this, we ask participants to answer 2 questions. And so for this event, you guys were so kind to answer 2 questions. So I want to show you guys that data if my system will get to it. And to see, the 2 questions were, how does your company position its brand to compete in the market? And I'm gonna steal a little bit of my thunder and tell you guys what it is. A lot of you guys say your companies want to be innovators. Oh my gosh, we have so many people participating. And we also asked you guys what kind of things your company does to promote wellness. So I wanted to show that, because that I think will be really helpful for the conversation. So let me get this here so I could show it to you. A couple of things. So I had my coach on a session with me a couple of months ago, and one of the things that he brought up, because we talked about a very spicy topic. Oh my gosh, I got cussed out by people about this topic. Those 3 infamous letters, DEI, right? So it's a very heated topic. And I wanted him to talk about it for that purpose, because I find that there's an opportunity to find middle ground when you have divisive topics. And real leaders, true leaders, the best leaders can find the middle ground. They can take division in their organization, create open conversations to drive collaboration, and then create unity. And it doesn't matter what the topic is, because you're going to have that. You're going to have 2 people arguing about stuff. I don't want to do this. I want to do that. I don't want the website. I want this, right? So it's a skill as a leader to identify points of division, create a scenario where people can collaborate, and then find unity. So that's why I wanted to have that discussion, and it was great. And one of the things that he pointed out that I want you guys to think about in today's conversation is that younger professionals, right? Millennials, young Gen Xers, and right, I'm an older Gen Xer that you wouldn't know. But you know, the younger the person, right? And this is your workforce right now. Your low-level managers, your mid-level managers. Some of these guys are being promoted to high-level managers. But in your workforce, what's important to these younger cohorts is that they have a diverse workforce. It's important for them to be able to prioritize mental health and wellness. These are really important issues to your current and future employees. So again, this isn't just a feel-good session, even though it will be. You're going to smile. You're probably smiling right now. Your face is going to hurt. But it's also a practical session, like really being able to understand that prioritizing wellness, prioritizing diversity, prioritizing an approach as a leader so that you can connect and have empathy for your workforce, your current and future workforce, is going to absolutely transform how you grow and how you navigate. So let's get into this data. So I want to show you guys your answers. It's your perspective that you were so kind to grace us with. All right. Okay, so here's the data, guys. So first question, when it comes to presenting your brand to current and future customers, which of the following best describes your company's approach? Oh, I love this because this one's mine too. Delivering great service. Number 2, being an innovator. Getting referrals. So that's kind of in the line with delivering great service, having really happy customers, building long-term relationships, right? These are always great design, leveraging hands-on sales support. Some companies are like sales organizations, like IBM White would say they have like more salespeople than anything. Right? There's as you can see here, lots of different options. And that's because every company's unique, just like we are, just like our fingerprints. Every company's unique, and how you go to market is distinct, and there's no wrong way to be your company. So I'm not surprised, but delivering great service, I'm really delighted to see that it's at the top of the list. I truly believe, as an economist, That's what my background is in. I have multiple degrees and advanced degrees in quantitative economics. And, I believe that over the next 20 years, even though everyone talks about AI and technology, and those things are absolutely important, I think what will really differentiate companies is how well they integrate technology and humans so that they can really deliver great service, that they can build healthy, well, balanced relationships with their employees and customers, and that they really build trust. So, how do companies do that, right? So, let's see the second question we asked you guys. What kinds of things do leaders in your companies do today with regard to creating a balanced, healthy workforce? Because remember, if everybody's got AI, you're not special anymore, my people. Right? It's not a game changer for you because everybody does it. It's table stakes. So if everybody's using AI, then how are you going to differentiate what you're doing with AI or what you're doing with the cloud or what you're doing with all this great and amazing tech that's coming out and that will come out? Because even though you might get a, first follower, benefit or a bleeding edge benefit, at some point everyone catches up. Um, so how do you do that? Well, you do that by having a very healthy, productive, powerful workforce. So what are things that people do? And Patrick, I'm gonna turn over to you, bro, and be like, what's up with this? So a lot of companies, but not all. It's not, these aren't even big numbers, right? Only a third of companies say they provide access to resources, facilities, or programs to promote a healthy lifestyle, gym, counseling. So I understand why not a lot of companies are doing this as much is because, these have been some lean times, folks. And so a lot of companies, especially tech, they used to have gym and the free meals and all the great stuff, and they've had to pare all those perks back to cut costs. So it's been leaving employees maybe feeling like, oh no. Some companies, a little bit less than a third, provide coaching and leadership development, which is great. I think I have benefited from it. It's like the best thing you could do as a professional and as an organization is to really invest in the leadership skills of um, all your high pos for sure, high potentials, but even your second tier or what have you, it'll absolutely benefit them. But look at this, 20% introduced a wellness program. But you know what that means, folks? That means 80% haven't. So Patrick, what do you think of that? What do you think of these data?
Um, I think that it's evolving.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at this and there's a couple of things that kind of stand out from what you were talking about. So if I look at organizations, so like I said earlier, I come from banking where I was a global banker, worked across too many continents, I think. Um, and I've seen some commonalities in all the companies. I remember my first loan was $25,000 to a plumber. By the time
Oh,
I left,
wow.
it was multi-billion dollars in syndications, and there's some commonalities.
Mm-hmm.
So so I understand both ratios, but I'll tell you this: there is a core to why things are changing, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
core as to why they have not changed fast enough. And I'll explain that. So just a bit of a history lesson on our part. Our grandparents, when they started working,
Mm-hmm.
they worked for survival.
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
what they did. Put food on the table. They worked for survival. And because of that, they were loyal to the companies that they were loyal to, and they stayed, and it didn't matter what came
Lifetime
in.
employment. Yeah.
And it was lifetime employment. And a lot of people misconstrued that as loyalty.
Mm.
But it wasn't necessarily loyalty so much as it was a sense of urgency. I must put food on the table. I cannot take the risk. From there, and I'm making generalities, huh? It doesn't mean it happened for everybody. From there, uh, our parents, and I would even say, some of us within our generation, we went from survival to we wanted a standard of living.
Mm.
So we went from, one car to two cars, vacations per year, have enough money for retirement. And so we had our base of survival, and so we went into that next step where now we just wanted a standard by which we could live. And what we've passed to our children, and we can't be mad at that because that's what we've done.
Yeah.
We've given them that standard of living. So what they want is a quality of life.
I love it. Quality. Yeah.
And the quality of life is bumping up in organizations against the multi-generations, because you will find grandparents and parents, and you will find
True.
the young
Children.
generation. So in walks in the younger generation that is more finely attuned to how they feel, what they're going through, what they need. And then you've got people on the top who have worked and struggled to get to the top, going,
Yeah.
what is wrong with you? Why do you not appreciate what you have? Why do you? But we're not talking the same language.
Correct.
And that's something that I've come across in all of the companies that we've spoken to, from prospects all the way to clients, because it's a mind shift change.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I see these numbers, I tell you it's evolving. Because if I had taken a look at this 3.5 years ago when we started, it would have probably been 0% introduced a wellness program.
Oh, wow. Okay. So this is actually good, right? They're
This is
20%.
it is evolving because we
Okay.
are finding and we're trying to find the need behind
Mhm.
why do we want to have wellness programs? Is it all of a sudden that we feel more and is feeling, there's all sorts of things that will be controversial, but I don't mind. It's not my first time.
Yeah, no, let's do it. Let's have it.
How about this? I'll give you my experience so I don't make any generalities. And
Okay.
it was very difficult for me to come across this. I had one of these careers in banking. Started here, ended here. But when I ended, I didn't end peacefully. I ended in a violent manner, in that
Oh
I
my.
burnt out. I burnt out. And that's why I left banking. I was physically and mentally sick. And of course, it was during COVID and all of that.
Sure.
So I'm, at the time I was 40 something. I'm now a young 50. And let me tell you, to say to people that I've burnt out would have been a source of, it's something you keep hidden in your family. Talk about it. And so, if I think about in the past, people have been burnt out throughout our lives,
History,
throughout
yeah.
generations. It's just that we don't talk about it. And now we are starting to talk about it. And if I can dip into some science as well, we are always connected. So because we are always connected, we're connected on our phone, we're connected on our monitors, we're connected to the news, we're connected to social media. Our parasympathetic nervous system doesn't get to rest and digest.
I love it.
So what happens is our nervous system is always on, right?
Yep.
So that is the problem. So what's happening is that we're not able to rest and digest, and so we start to feel more anxiety and more this and more that. And the world is also more complicated. Huh? It's not like we are students of how life has changed. You talked about AI. Was that something that was around 5 years ago for the general Joe and Jane? It wasn't. So now today it's found its way all over our workforce and our workplace. So that's why when I see these numbers, to give you a long answer to a short question, that's why when I see these numbers, I see that there is a little bit of a misunderstanding. And one of the biggest things, and listen, organizations are not at fault. We are just in changing times. But also organizations, you were talking about profit. And ex-banker, that's my language, right? That's how I
For
roll,
sure. Yeah.
or at least how I did until, well, when we created LU Health, my brother and I, who obviously talks quite a bit, we agreed, and that was very difficult for him, being the COO. Oh, he's my brother. I can do what I want. Yeah. I'm just worried that he goes and tells our 84-year-old mother, in which case I'm in trouble, but you know, I've got to. You know, we said we need money for the mission, but money is
Yeah.
not the mission. And that is
Mhm.
antithetical to how I grew up and how William
Mhm.
grew up. So the issue for organizations is we cannot measure wellness. I can't measure it. Tell me, how
I
can I
see.
quantify? How can I quantify that someone has gotten better? How can I
Yeah.
quantify that, you know, my ROI actually does exist? And that
Mhm.
is the premise and the basis behind that is it's difficult to measure employee engagement. It's difficult to measure certain things. You can measure absenteeism and presenteeism and people voting with their feet and leaving. But
Yeah.
if they're there, you can't really measure the motivation and productivity as much as we think we'd like to.
Sure.
The solutions providers, and I will stay out of it on this conversation because I'd like to have a wider combo. The solutions providers don't have the solution themselves. So they come in one of two things. Let me give you a way to track your people, but beyond that, I leave it to your HR departments and leaders to
Sure.
figure out what to do with that info. Or I don't have any data, going back to your point about data driven, I don't have
Yeah.
any data, so I'm just going to throw everything at you. Well, I'm going to come and tell you, by the way, your employees are stressed.
Mm.
Okay, that's great. So here's the
What do I
next
do with
question.
that? Yeah.
Well, what do I do with that? Nico, do you think that the three of us on this call have the same stresses?
No, no,
So would we have the same solution?
no, no.
That's the
You're right.
problem.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. So that's why I see that companies are evolving because there are starting to come, you know, some solutions are coming out, LU Health being one of them as well, but
Mhm.
there are others as well that are starting to show data, starting to improve, to show how an ROI can improve.
Mhm.
Investing in your employees is investing in your brand,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right?
I was actually
And
just about to make that point.
so, yeah. And by the way, clients, they buy from brands that they trust.
And they
So,
like. Yes.
so if they trust your brand, they will buy it. And there is enough social media and there's enough going on out there that people will know whether or not you treat your employees properly or not. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
a lot of organizations don't know what to do or don't have
Mhm.
the capacity
Mhm.
to take on, you know, a wellness program and dive deep into it. And so what they do is they just throw money at it. But money
Mhm.
is great once a month, but
Mhm.
that's not the core of the issue,
Yeah.
right? I'm not solving for X when I'm throwing money.
Yeah.
I'm solving for Y.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you
So
for
that was
that.
my short
So,
answer.
Will, thank you so much. So, Will, my dear, you have been so chatty, but
Yeah,
I'd love to give you a few more minutes to
apply the
give,
brakes.
I don't pump those
Ah,
brakes, bro. give give your perspective on this topic.
yeah, it's interesting. I like the numbers that you're showing correlate with what I see because I have a varied set of customers
Yeah.
that I deal with, regardless whether it's through LU Health or through Lumo, for example.
Hmm.
And I'll reinforce what Patrick was saying, which is your brand is one of the most important things. So I've kind of been doing this for a while. Don't be fooled by my 24-year-old look. Um, you know, but I've had customers that are the same customers I had through when I was with IBM, when I went through EMC with Lumo, working with you, for the simple
Hmm.
reason that they're looking for stability, they're looking for trust.
Hmm.
If this is part of the service was one of the ones that you had mentioned.
Yeah.
And if we provide exceptional service and trustworthy and truthfulness that goes along with it, and then people will follow you no matter where you're at because you're giving them something that they are looking for. So it's kind of a
Yeah.
combination of what you're both saying. I'll tell you a really small thing, pivoting back to LU Health. We had a customer who had implemented a wellness program, and they did a very, very small change. And they just started putting healthy, free fruits for employees. And that by itself, since we do measure data from a data point of view and a clinical point of
Yeah.
view,
Mm.
right? It showed that it actually had a measurable effect. Something as small as telling an employee, you're valuable, I want
Yeah,
you. This is a very small token of fruits. We're not
yeah,
talking $multi-million here. But
yeah.
the numbers that you showed very much reflect what I see, and again, kind of, dovetail into what Patrick and you were saying.
Thank you. So always what I do is I bring it back to, okay, the question we're answering, how does your wellness and attitude affect your brand? So to summarize, so for everybody in, which is all again almost 100 executives, thank you guys. So the first thing is regardless of whatever generation you're from, right? You could be from the silent generation, you could be from the boomers, Gen X, millennials, you name it, right? Whatever generation you're from, making sure that you as a leader place value on having a healthy, balanced workforce is the first thing that you can do. And the connection between that and your brand is that crusty, dusty, musty employees are going to treat your customers in an unpleasant manner, right? And we've all been there, right? You roll into, a fast food restaurant, or maybe you call because you're having an issue, or maybe you go somewhere and you want to spend some money and the person behind the counter is having a real bad day. And what do you want? And how come you're here? And no, we don't have that. And breakfast is over. We've seen so many YouTube videos and, live streams and you name it, of people fighting with employees. And what does it do? It affects the brand of the company, even though that company might not have, worked to create a bad environment for that employee, but that employee's bad attitude absolutely affected that individual customer. And when it made it to social media, it affected the brand, right? How many times have you guys seen those fight videos in the McDonald's, or the, people getting into brawls at the drive-through, or, you name it? So the first thing is I know we're back to the feel goods and Mama Nico, but if we get really real, the wellness and the attitude that you have as a leader affects how the structures in your organization that you create as a leader. And if you think, oh, I don't need a wellness program, I don't need to do anything to promote well and healthy habits and thoughts in my workforce, well, guess what? You're going to create an environment where it doesn't prioritize that. It's not important. I get it, people. We're trying to drive results, not make everybody feel happy, right? Unless you're me, and where you want to help everybody grow happily. And you might be thinking, just sell. Like, I don't care about your feelings. No, I think they refer to people who over these last few years, the snowflake generation, right? Oh, you guys are so emotional, and oh, microaggressions, and oh, it's your feelings. And I don't agree with that either. Of course, your feelings matter. Of course, results matter. So, how do you, as a leader, take two diverging points, create collaboration, and bring them together? So, that's the first thing that I want you guys to be thinking about. This isn't a feel good topic only. This is actually just nitty gritty, hardcore executive leadership right here. How do you ensure that you've prioritized the well being of your workers? Because if they're burning out, or if they're dropping dead, or if they're quitting because they're like, you're a jerk, right? Or whatever they're doing, and we see it all over the place. They might even go even further and do self-harm, you name it. If you are not prioritizing their well-being, then you're missing an opportunity to optimize your workforce. I'll give you an example to think about. If you were a coach and Mike Tyson was your boxer, would you be like, Mike, dude, go do some crack? Get you about 13, 14 hookers. Get you do a few lines of coke. You wouldn't be like, Mike, go do all this type of stuff. You'd be like, bro, go to bed. Here's a diaper, whatever, right? You'd be pampering him, making sure that he's in his best tip-top condition, not only physically, but mentally. Because I think if y'all follow Mike Tyson, then you know that like his ferociousness wasn't just his physicality, it was in his mind. And the same is true if you have a workforce of bankers. You want Mike Tyson bankers, man. You want them to be coming out always at the top of their game. And if they are at the top of their game, they're going to deliver that great service that you want to represent your brand. They're going to be really innovative because they're going to, like Patrick so wisely said, they're going to have time to rest and digest right? Their brains, their sensory systems, and they're going to process all that great data they're getting and come up with new ideas. So this is actually a hard topic. It's not some soft feel good. This is straight up just executive business management. 30 years ago, they weren't thinking about wellness. But right now, with the workforce that we have, we've learned enough to know that if you have a mentally and emotionally healthy workforce, they're going to kill it. And on top of it, these last few years, what have we seen? People have changed jobs. Like, and I thought Patrick's point was so great. Patrick, your point was so great. You go back 30 years, people wouldn't imagine having more than 2 or 3 jobs in their life. They'd be like, what? I had years ago, I had this boyfriend and his dad worked for Maytag, right? Before it was, absorbed into the Borg. And he worked at Maytag literally his whole life. He got out of college, he went into Maytag, he was a Maytag accountant, and he worked there until he retired. His entire life, he had no other jobs. And that's unfathomable, right? Most people are like, what? They couldn't imagine one job for your whole life. But think about the stability and think about that unspoken agreement that employee and that company made to each other, which is I'm committed to you as long as you do your job, and you're committed to me as long as I pay, I give you a good wage, a good standard of living, like you said. Then as the employer, you don't have to worry about finding another accountant to replace homeboy, right? And homeboy doesn't have to be out there in the job market trying to get, 5% more or whatever. He's got the stability that he needed to have a great life. And they had 11 children, right? And then people are like, I can't afford one. This fool afforded 11. But that comes with stability. So back to us leaders, making sense of all these things that we're seeing. And in today's discussion, well, making sure that you've got healthy employees means they're going to be loyal. They're going to actually see that you care about them. And back to the point that I made earlier, and I want you guys to let this sink right in. We're in a society that values technology more than it values people right now. That's where we are. And what people have done, especially the younger you are, the more likely you are to think of technical signals as validation. So, for example, you're a 14-year-old girl and you got a TikTok account and you post videos of you dancing. And you might get 100,000 views, and you might discover, and there's research on this, folks, so check it out for your daughters, right? But you discover the shorter your shorts, the more views you get, right? And of course, all your friends are like, oh my God, you got 300,000 views. Wow, you're so great. You're amazing. You're a influencer, right? And suddenly you perceive that you have status. And that works into your whole validation matrix of what makes you feel important as a person and your whole value system. And that's the society that we're living in right now, where younger people feel that, hey, this is a career path. I'm going to be an influencer. And my personal value, my personal, how much I matter in society is a function of how many likes I get or how many views or how many followers I have or whatever digital, parameter there is out there. And what I'm saying to you guys is, please, leaders, don't be fooled by that. Here again, back to opportunity. Here's an opportunity for you to remember that each of your employees, regardless of how many likes they get or, how many followers they have, they matter. And the more that you as a leader, as a human leader, can say to them and to conduct yourself in a way to show them that they really matter, it absolutely will be a game changer. If you're the CEO of the biggest company in the world and you took time, even if you took 1 hour a month and you roamed the hallways of your company and you just went and you shook hands with people, hey, how you doing? Oh, hey, and you go to places where you normally wouldn't go, the mailroom, janitorial, facilities management, places like that where you just never would ever be. And you just roll in there. Hey, what guys, how's our trucks doing today? And you just chatted with people, right? Oh my gosh, what would you do? You would really transform how those people see themselves, how they see their job. And you want me to give you an example, a real world example. Okay. However much you like this guy or not, right? Orange man, right? Current number 47 for the United States, next future president of the United States, Donald Trump. Homeboy went to the drive-thru at McDonald's, right? And okay, and you can have whatever opinion you have of it. Was it a media stunt? Was it a campaign ploy? Whatever. Either way, what I think we can all look at, and I strongly encourage you to look at this, is those employees in that McDonald's, those people who went through the drive-through, and other employees at other fast food restaurants, for that short moment, they were like, yo, I'm good, right? The president of the United States is doing my job. He's doing fries. He's, handing out burgers or whatever. And it was a moment to feel just like 1 second of like just a little bit of pride. Like I'm good. Because they would be the low men on the totem pole, right? So that's my point, is this is an opportunity for you as a leader to change your perspective. So that's point number one. All right.